Welcome back to the Here's the Deal channel. Recently, our local police department was broken in on by a gang of thieves who chose only to steal all the toilets and urinals. And do you know, to this day, the police say they have nothing to go on? I appreciate you guys being here. We're going to look at a couple of interactions with police and some other things where we're kind of going off the beaten trail of what this channel is all about. Or do we really do that? Because what we're going to be looking at is some political underpinnings from where these cops get these laws thinking that they got the right to take away our rights because there is a Terry v. Ohio or a Pennsylvania versus Mims or some Supreme Court case that says for some reason officer safety is more important than your individual rights. This first one that we're going to look at right here comes from LAC Audits. We're going to take a look at these two badge tyrants and how they handle a person who is not committing a crime on American soil.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. How are
I'm
you?
Corporal Watt with the Millersburg Police Department. The reason why we're making contact, some lady came out to report that you've been sitting out here for over 4 hours.
Okay.
And we're just trying to find out what the deal is, what's going on.
Just sitting here minding my business.
I love this guy wringing his hands. Look at that.
Not doing
You
anything.
got any credentials?
I'm not going to provide that.
Little girls, we got kids. And
I got kids in my neighborhood too, and I don't call the cops on people who park there. And you know what I do? I take note of the car, take a picture and document the license plate number and a watch.
Yeah.
There's no crime until there's a crime.
So what you'll need to do, and here's the problem. This is a private roadway, but the only thing is what he's saying. If the HOA has signs up saying that it's private property,
Yeah.
or soliciting, we actually, if we had that up there and signs were on there, we could actually pull him out of the car and lock him up from the truck.
Oh, and he likes that. Now, if you had signs up, we could pull this guy out of the car, which is really what we want to do. I mean, we want to pull him out of the car right now. See, this is another example of cops, for some reason, I don't know what it is. There's a mental block or whatever, but cops and general public servants do not understand the difference between public and private property. They don't understand what individual rights are, what liberties are, and what the law is. I mean, it's in their name of their profession, law enforcement. You would think that they would know the law so they could educate the public on exactly what the law is and the dividing line where they can't cross that. And then they constantly express how, well, if it was written this way, then we could actually lay our hands on them and pull them out of the car. This is far from liberty. This is far from freedom. This is far from serving and protecting and going more toward the domestic terrorist side.
They can't do that. You'd have to give me the opportunity to leave.
We don't have the signs up there. There's nothing that we can do to take action right now.
Mom,
Right
let me
now,
tell you how trespassing works. You'd have to give me the opportunity to leave, okay?
Exactly.
And he said he would pull me out of the car. You see what?
No, I exactly said.
see what
we would
happens?
have to give you the chance to leave.
You see what happened? No, he didn't. What was his words exactly?
Yep.
We could have pulled him out of the car.
Let me.
But I'm just saying,
restate
you
that.
see
I'm sorry.
why you
We
don't
would have
call
to let
cops?
you know and find out what's
Because
going on and why you
ignorance
do it,
is
and then
bliss, and people like this cause harm to innocent people like me who are doing nothing wrong by pulling me out. Then I will sue their department from now till to the end of time. Okay.
And you gotta admit, you gotta be a pretty cruddy person to actually call men with guns in the first place for somebody who's not committing a crime. Hey, if you're concerned about it, like this guy said, take down the license, take down the description of the car, and then if a crime happens, maybe then act on it. But even then, when you call the police and the police end up showing up, usually things go bad really, really quickly.
Especially
Sir,
him.
I misstated the term. Okay, what I said, we would make contact with you. Okay, and then if you refused to leave, then we would take action.
That is
Yeah.
the correct procedure
I'm
right there.
sorry,
Not
I'm
yank
sorry.
me out of the car.
Yeah, that is exactly not what this guy said. He just said, "Yeah, now if you had the signs properly posted, then we could pull them out of the car." Not if you have the signs properly posted. This is actually private property. When in actuality it's not. Then we would give him a warning, and then if he didn't leave private property, then we could put our hands on him and do something to him that he probably deserved. Until then, you can't lay your hands on another man who hasn't committed a crime. I wanted to go over this right here. These are two clips right here where the city council members and local police claim that they desire to be transparent. But the funny thing about First Amendment auditing is when you do pull out that video camera, when you do start recording them, all of a sudden this desire to be transparent fades away. Listen to this.
And allies and family members who have been mistreated or worse are asking city leaders, the police department, and the district attorney's office to release the names of the officers that are currently under investigation.
Antioch City Councilwoman Tamisha Torres-Walker says the public needs to know which Antioch police officers are being investigated by both the FBI and the Contra Costa County District Attorney. There are very few details about this ongoing criminal investigation, but authorities say they're being looked at for so-called crimes of moral turpitude. And last month, Antioch Mayor Lamar Thorpe revealed that 8 Antioch police officers are under investigation. And today, Torres-Walker claims that
8 of them are under investigation. For what? For the sake of transparency, you should tell us what they're being investigated for and who are they, so we know their names. Have you ever noticed in these news articles, especially when an incident happens involving a cop, like an officer involved shooting or whatever, they'll tell you who the victim's name is, but they won't tell you the officer's name is until way later, if they even say that.
3 of them were involved in a case that was recently dismissed by the DA, a case where the councilwoman was accused of interfering in a police investigation.
I absolutely do believe that by releasing the names of all the officers under investigation currently in the city of Antioch will increase transparency and public trust. Yes,
Of course it would. Now, increase public trust. I'm not so sure that you can increase public trust when you have badge tyrants who are out there bringing or putting feet on, say, the drug war, or the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, which says that people can be, without charge, trial, or due process of law, be thrown into prison, or any assortment, Patriot Act, any violation of Pennsylvania versus Mims or Terry v. Ohio. They feel like they can put their hands on you if you jeopardize officer safety. That's not being transparent. That's not protecting and serving. And just the bottom line is that's not being a good human being.
I do believe that.
In light of these events, Torres-Walker, alongside City Councilwoman Monica Wilson and Interim Police Chief Dr. Stephen Ford, held a press conference today at City Hall, calling for police reform in 3 specific areas.
Yeah, exactly. Reefer Madman says in the chat room, why is there even a need for a Brady list? They need to be fired and not hired anywhere. Well, actually, they don't just need to be fired. If they committed a crime against a person, they need to do the time. You commit the crime, you should do the time. And it doesn't matter if you're a badged law enforcer. It doesn't matter if you're a politician. It doesn't matter if you're a judge. You should not get extra protections that the rest of us don't have. So yeah, I agree. Why would you have a Brady list? And if you don't know what a Brady list is, it's the list that officers go on when their credibility is brought into question, like maybe they lied on a report or did some indiscretion within the department. This is a department initiated inclusion onto the Brady list of an officer who's shown himself to be less than credible. Why would you want anybody like that on the police force? By the way, the most famous Brady list participant in America is one of the most famous deputies in America, Officer Frank Sloop. He's on the Brady list and he's out there giving tickets. He's out there being, with the authority to be a road pirate for the state, generating revenue for the state. And even their own department says, yeah, we can't trust Frank. But you trust him to economically terrorize the rest of us? Can you make that make sense at all?
9-bite policy, early intervention to track and monitor use of force, implementation of a system to monitor cell phone use.
Chief Ford says the reforms are critical to provide more accountability within the department.
All of these measures will be utilized to make certain the organization remains forward-thinking and adheres to the paradigms of procedural justice policing, accountability, and transparent public service.
We got to hear that
City
again.
leaders say
Adheres to what?
Certain the organization remains forward-thinking and adheres to the paradigms of procedural justice policing.
Adheres to the paradigms of procedural policing. Adheres to the paradigms. How about just adhere to the paradigm of do to others what you would want done to you? How about just adhering to the paradigm of, hey, I'm a human being. I don't have a higher claim over your life and property than you. It's never right for even me, a badged clown, a clownish custodian of the state, to initiate unjust force and violence on peaceful people who haven't done anything wrong. It's not right for me to do that. How about those procedural paradigms?
Accountability and transparent public service.
City leaders say they're also planning to discuss the reforms further in an upcoming study session. Depending on how that goes, the proposal could then go up for a formal vote by the city council. In Antioch, Pete Serrato.
Transparent policing to me is like an oxymoron. It's like airline food or military intelligence or tight slacks or jumbo shrimp or deafening silence. It's a misnomer. There's no such thing as transparent policing. At least we haven't seen it. I mean, if you want to demonstrate that there is such a thing as transparent policing, then you got to live that out. You got to show by your actions you're actually interested in a complete level of transparency. Don't be freaking out when 1A auditors are out on the street with a camera and going up to them saying, hey, I need to see your ID, buddy. Oh, yeah, really? Why? Why do you need to see my ID? Why do you feel it necessary to come up to me and make me insecure in my person?
This morning,
This is another one where it says Hendricks County Police want community input on police transparency and accountability. They want your input. Hey, it's real simple. Why don't you follow the First Amendment? What is the First Amendment? It's the protection of RAPPS, religion, assembly, petition, press, speech. Follow the Second Amendment. Don't abide by the federal or local or state rules that bar people from personal protection devices. And if you do, we automatically know you're the enemy. Why don't you adhere to the Fourth Amendment so that we maintain being secure in our persons, houses, papers, and effects? Don't knock somebody's door down at 3 o'clock in the morning because you suspect they might have plant matter that the politicians said we couldn't have. How about that for some transparency? There's no need for you to reach out to the public to ask them to tell you what kind of transparency and accountability that they want to see. Why doesn't it come from your own heart?
in Hendricks County can let their voice be heard when it comes to policing in their community. There's now a survey available for them to take.
All right, the goal is to help agencies understand what the community needs from officers and also how they can work together to improve relationships. Charlene Cristobal joining us now with all the details. Good morning to you, Charlene.
Good morning, Scott.
How do we improve relationships? How about stop robbing me, stop abusing me, stop tasing me, stop shooting my pets, stop breaking down houses, stop inflicting this horrendous drug war upon us? How about that? Just for starters, I mean, just off the top of my head.
Jess, yeah, according to the Hendricks County Alliance for Diversity, they and the law enforcement agencies involved in the survey will take the results and really see how they can better serve their communities.
I thought this was interesting. Look up here, right on your right side. She's reading this teleprompter. I've never seen a newscaster where they actually show the teleprompter that she's reading on the screen that she's reading from,
Especially when it comes to improving police transparency and also accountability in their community. Now, the survey has been up since August and it will stay up until mid-September. Those involved say really the point of it is to open up a conversation about policing and also racial equity and equality as well in Hendricks County.
That's all we want to do. Open up a conversation. Really, how come you don't want to open up the conversation when you're engaging in roadside piracy? I mean, when I start speaking up for myself, you're like, this isn't the time for roadside justice. You can get all the justice you want in the court. I'm not the judge. I'm just the cop who's acting like the judge and the jury and the executioner when I drag you out and throw you into a cage.
County as calls for those things really continue nationwide. Now, the groups will use the responses to help build trust and unity between law enforcement and everyone.
Yeah, Jessica says, sir, I'm protecting you. Stop resisting. Will you stop resisting my protection?
in the community. They want people to fill it out honestly so they know the best and honest way to move forward. Chief McKee with Plainfield PD says he and all of the chiefs and the sheriff of Hendricks County, they agreed to put the survey out and they will look at it and take the results seriously.
We can look at policy and the way that we interact with the public every single day. So there's, if you want to make change, this is how you make change, right? Is fill out this survey and truly speak to the people that can make the changes.
How about this? How about just sucking it up, putting your big boy pants on and going, you know what? We aren't going to be like any other police department out there. First of all, we are not going to get our funds from the local tax cattle. We're going to actually work for a living. Second of all, we're going to open up our monopoly we currently have on force to other agencies who may do it better than us. You know, do the will of the people instead of the will of the policy and the police department. And second of all, while we are around, we're going to rely on the generous contributions of all the local people who feel like they need us for protection. And then we're actually going to do that. We're going to protect them. We're going to protect their persons. We're going to protect their houses. We're going to protect, whatever property they have. But more importantly, we're going to protect their rights. And if any outside force like federal agencies or bigger state agencies than us come in, we're going to protect our people from those nefarious forces. How about that? How about that for starters? But this idea of, we're going to ask the people to tell us how transparent and accountable that we should be to them, that is milquetoast. That is nonsense. There's no will, there's no heart there. If they really wanted to do it, if they really wanted to be transparent, if they really wanted their actions to be held accountable, they would have already done it. This right here is just to show the people, there's some semblance of morality there. But all they do is keep flapping their gums and nothing ever gets done. Even when all these people submit their ideas on how this police force can be transparent and accountable, you think they're actually going to put their heart into it and put the feet on the ground and actually make sure they do protect and serve? No, I don't think so.
Now, here are just a few examples of the questions on the survey. So you can see that they ask about police transparency, accountability, what would make officers more accountable and approachable. There are a few demographic questions too that you'll have to fill out, but your answer.
But what if every single one of them, and I'm not kidding about this, what if every single one of the people who filled out this survey said, well, first of all, stop stealing from us for your little protection racket. If you actually think that your service is worth money, then put it on a completely volunteer basis. You know, the first thing they're going to do? They're going to cut their staff in half, more than likely. They're going to liquidate the assets that really weren't for the protection of the people, like that MRAP they have over there in Hendricks County. Remember Brookside, Alabama? I think they had 2 armored personnel carriers for a population of 1,300. It was a 2 military surplus armored personnel carriers for a population of only 1,300. Guys, I thought my town of 16,000 was small. A town of 1,300 has 2 MRAPs? Make that make sense. So the first thing they would do, if everybody, and if they were above board on this and they really cared what the people thought, if the surveys came back and said, first of all, I don't want you taking our hard-earned money against our will without our consent. If you really are a good service, then we will volunteer to support you once we see that you're there to protect our rights and our property and our very lives from outside influences. Like if the FBI rolls in to try to conduct an investigation or the IRS comes knocking at our door, you're going to be there to intercept those intruders. Let's start there, police chief. Let's see what happens. If they, I don't know what the population of Hendricks County is, but let's say 90% of them said, yeah, remove any ability for you to receive one single tax dollar. They will immediately liquidate all the property that they don't need. They will downsize their facilities and their buildings, and they will lay off a whole bunch of police officers that they didn't really need in the first place because most of them are there just to generate revenue. And that'd be the second thing. What if they said in the survey, stop generating revenue through unconstitutional anti-Fourth Amendment traffic laws, you nincompoops? You think they're going to do that? I mean, when the rubber meets the road, you think they're going to give up their gravy train, because that's what it is. Local, state, and federal police forces are a gravy train. They have a constant stream of revenue coming in, whether by civil asset forfeiture or traffic tickets. As we mentioned many times on this broadcast, $6.1 billion a year is generated as a fresh revenue stream for local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies just on speeding tickets alone. $6.1 billion annually. If you break that down, that's $11,794 every single minute of every single day generated from the tax cattle that these people are supposed to be serving and protecting, when all that sounds like is a harassment and collection racket. So don't tell me that you're really interested in transparency or any level of accountability, because, you know, the math doesn't work out on that.
Are anonymous. So as of today, more than 300 people have filled out the survey. Again, it's going to be up for a few more weeks. So if you'd like to take part, we have a link up to that on our website, fox59.
Yeah. So would you like to take part in that? This right here is an example of cops not only not being transparent, but being belligerent and terroristic, let's say. This happened about a year ago. Let's see, what's the date on this right here? This happened back on April 7th. Yeah, about a year ago, a little over a year ago. See if you remember this case right here.
The city of Scottsdale is paying the price for a costly mistake. The city is agreeing to pay $200,000 after police mistakenly arrested a woman for a hit and run nearly 3 years ago. Team 12's Michael Doudna is here now with the story.
You have the right to remain silent.
That's Yessie Garcia getting arrested for a crime she didn't commit.
It's messed up.
See, it all happened on May 24th, 2020. A security camera captures a man smashing Yessie's windshield. Later, when she came out of a bar, she called over nearby police officers who then started to interrogate her.
This is one of those things where I'm so grateful it was recorded, because if it wasn't, this lady would probably be either intertwined in some major legal battles here, have to shovel out a whole bunch of money, which she probably did already. You know, she got to pay out $200,000, but you know, how much of that, like 33% went to the lawyer, and how much did she spend out of her own pocket before they arrived at that settlement? So it's just a bunch of crazy stuff going on. But if this wasn't recorded, how would she be able to prove that she wasn't the guilty party? She wouldn't be able to. And this is another reason why you want a dash cam that's running looping 24 hours a day. If you could show the cop, sometimes it doesn't even work, but if you could show the cop your dash cam video evidence of this guy with the baseball bat shattering her window, you know, they probably wouldn't have thrown her in jail. When you get thrown in jail, by the way, your life is in jeopardy. They don't call it a rape cage for nothing.
About a nearby hit and run.
He got hit. Your car is involved.
We just left Hi-Fi. It didn't register that they were thinking I could be a suspect or I was the one that did this.
In fact, no matter what she or her friends said, police officers simply refused to believe that Yessie's car was not involved in this accident.
This vehicle just hit a person. This vehicle did not just hit a person.
So after looking for clues, police claim to see shards of glass on Yessie's shirt.
Yeah.
So
just making stuff up. Oh, there's shards of glass. Just making it up out of thin air. They don't care. And they don't care that they're making it up out of thin air on video for everybody to see and scrutinize.
They put her in handcuffs and book her for DUI, failure to stop at the scene of an accident, and possession of drug paraphernalia.
Yessie was totally innocent in this case.
Ben Taylor is Yessie's attorney. They would file a lawsuit against the city.
I would like, you know what I would like to do here? I'm going to go back to this. I would like to get the FOIA, all the body cams for all the comments. Here, I'm going to turn this off. All the comments that they were probably saying about this girl behind her back. Because you know they were. Because you know these people in this profession, this law enforcement profession, are dirty people with nasty minds that do filthy things. How do I know that? Because they do them in broad daylight, on body cam, on dash cam. They can't even help not doing it while the cameras are rolling. So what do you think they're doing when they forgot, oh yeah, my body cams were rolling while I was talking about this girl behind her back? Love to FOIA all those.
was totally
a lawsuit against the city for this wrongful arrest. And then finally, on Tuesday,
unanimous. Thank you very much.
Scottsdale settled with her for $200,000.
Jeez.
Paying out and allowing Yessie to move on.
Yeah, but what about the cops? What about the cops? Were any of the cops, did anything bad go into their files? Did they get a write-up? Did they get paid administrative leave? Was anybody hired? Were any of them jailed? Because this was criminal activity that happened to them. This lady who was innocent got kidnapped. Maybe it would make cops think twice. And I'm talking about not just cops in Scottsdale, but cops all over the country. Maybe it would make cops think twice before they slap the cuffs on somebody, before they declared somebody guilty. See, here's the deal. Here's the deal. They know who this lady is. They have her license. They have her license plate. So they've got a handle on where she is. They've got her identity. They did not have to take her to jail. They would know where to find her if they further their investigation, but they took her to jail anyway when they didn't have to. So maybe instead of that $200,000, almost $250,000 going into this girl's pocket from the tax cattle, how about if we find out that the cops were wrong, we liquidate their assets and their pension, and then they get fired, and then they get handcuffs put on them, and they get fingerprinted and booked into a rape cage? How many of these incidents, and there are many, we couldn't possibly have time to go over a fraction, not even scratch the surface in 10,000 shows. Wouldn't happen for 1,000 years. There's so many that happen every single day, let alone all over the country, weekly or yearly. I bet you anything that this kind of garbage, domestic terrorism, would be drastically reduced if we started treating police officers like that. And like Mandatory said in the chat room, let's stop calling them police officers. They're fleece officers. Speaking of fleece, let me take a little segue here. This is, you're going to laugh at this. This has nothing to do, well, this does have to do with the government, okay? Because $68 million, not a year, $68 million every single day goes into the bank account, you know, if there is such a thing as a bank account of NASA. Just NASA alone, $68 million a day. I think their budget, let's see, what is the budget for NASA now? Let's see. NASA's, what would it be? 20, I'd say 2023 budget. What's NASA's 2023 budget? $25.4 billion in 2023, and it's $24.9 billion in 2022. So what is it in 2024? All right, let's just say $25 billion per year. That's 68, 69, $71 million every single day goes into NASA. And this is NASA's official website. I want you to see this. This is from nasa.gov. This kind of does have everything to do with what we're talking about with regard to government overreach and the fact that they're just a revenue generating machine for absolutely nothing. NASA's website says from 1 million miles away, NASA camera shows moon crossing the face of the Earth. I wish I could. Can I expand this? Let's see. You tell me if you think this, does that look real to you? They are saying this is actual satellite imagery of the moon crossing the Earth in between this satellite from 1 million miles away. Does anybody think this looks real at all? As a matter of fact, I know some graphic designers who could probably make it look more real. And just to prove that this is them saying it's real, a NASA camera aboard the Deep Space Climate Observatory Discover satellite captured a unique view of the moon as it moved in front of the sunlit side of the Earth last month. The series of test images shows the fully illuminated dark side of the moon that is never visible from Earth. They're saying this is actual imagery taken from the satellite, no Photoshop. Even under the video, it says this animation features actual satellite images of the far side of the moon illuminated by the sun as it crossed between Discover's spacecraft Earth, whatever this is, imaging camera and telescope, and the Earth 1 million miles away. Holy cow. And I think we're shooting it high to expect anybody in government to just come out and be transparent and be accountable and tell us the truth. If they're going to lie to us about this, and why would they stop lying? Why would they stop lying? $71 million a day? Let me quickly do the math on this. Let's see, calculator. 25, oops. Let's see. Can you see my calculator there? 25 billion. That's a lot of zeros. That's 25 million. This is 25 billion divided by 365. $68.4 million a day. Not a week, not a year, not a month, a day. Almost 70 million. What do you think we could do with the homeless vet population with $70 million a day? Just as one example. Pretty incredible that we got a government like that. History Bear, thanks for that super chat. I will read all super chats at the end of this. I forgot that I'm on StreamYard and I can actually highlight comments in the chat room. A few maximum penalties of 18 USC 241, 242 with what you have said about taking their property to pay their victims would change the psychop ads behavior. Yeah. And think about it. People want to change the laws of the land. We already have some pretty sound laws for anybody who would dare to. Here, let's just look at it. 18 USC. Let's look at the wording again of 18 USC 242. This is deprivation of rights under color of law. Let's take a look at it. And it's gray wording. It's gray wording. 18 USC 242, deprivation of rights under color of law. Whoever, judges, lawyers, cops, politicians, anybody in authority, whoever, under the color of any law, Terry v. Ohio, Pennsylvania versus Mims, Patriot Act, the Affordable Care Act, whoever under color of any law, statute, ordinance. You mean even like a city ordinance, like you shall not park here, or if you go X amount over the speed limit, you get whatever such and such ticket, or you get $150 fine if you don't click it or ticket. Any ordinance, regulation, or custom willfully subjects any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district who to the deprivation of any rights. You mean like right to be free to speak, right to be free to record, freedom of the press? You mean right to be secure in my person's houses, papers, and effects? You mean no matter who I am, right to a personal protection device? You mean those rights? Yeah, the deprivation of any of those rights. Whoever, under the color of any of these laws, ordinances, procedures, regulations, or customs, or it says, so if you subject any person anywhere to the deprivation of any rights or immunities secured by the Constitution, and it says right down here, check this out. Anybody who does that shall be fined under this title or in prison for any term of years or life or both, or maybe this was so serious. I got to look up who authored this and who approved this, because this is wholeheartedly 100% a double thumbs up. Or maybe sentenced to, yeah, you read that right, death. In other words, if you attempt to not even demolish, if you attempt to bruise someone's rights, if you attempt to lightly touch up against somebody's rights, you get penalized, you get fined, you get imprisoned, or if we find that it was egregious enough, you may be subject to elimination. That's good wording. And it's the same thing with 18 USC 241. 18 241. This is conspiracy against rights. Check this wording out. And who does this sound like? Conspiring against rights. Reverend Sean Murphy says, God bless your generous soul, Brian, and thanks for carrying the extra load, brother. Hey, thank you, Rev. I appreciate that. 18 USC 241, conspiracy against rights. Who's this sound like? If two or more persons, like judges, politicians, lawyers, cops, if two or more persons, whoever they are, conspire to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district in the free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege. How many times have we seen people cite 18 USC 241, conspiracy against rights, and 242, deprivation of rights under color of law, and the cops absolutely don't care? This is their own law, their own U.S. code, their own federal code that they're supposed to be going by and adhering to, but they don't do it. So what makes us think that if we change these other laws, get rid of the laws or add, more freedom laws, that they're going to pay attention to those? They don't pay attention to 18 USC 241 or 242. They don't give a damn about the First Amendment. They definitely don't give a damn about the Second Amendment, or they would scoff at red flag laws, the extreme risk protection orders. And they don't care about the Fourth Amendment, just for starters, guys, let alone the 10th Amendment or the 9th Amendment or any other amendments. Judges don't care about those. Prosecutors don't care about those. Politicians don't care about those. Cops don't care about those. So what is deleting bad laws and creating good laws going to do? We already have some good laws on the books that they're not doing anything about. As they say with their mouths, oh yeah, it's the supreme law of the land. I'm telling you, what's the supreme law of the land, officer? The Constitution of the United States. Does that mean the Fourth Amendment? Yes, that means the Fourth Amendment. Then what's the SWAT team doing in my living room at 3:30 in the morning? And why is my dog laying on the ground not doing so good? If that's the supreme law of the land. And that's why I constantly say what Lysander Spooner said, whether the Constitution be one thing or another, this much is certain. It's either authorized such a tyrannical government as we have, or it's been powerless to stop it. In either case, it's unfit to exist, right? Right? Like, where's the protection offered by that piece of paper that's behind bulletproof glass in the National Archives in Washington's District of Criminals? What good is it doing us? If it's not doing any good, why do we keep appealing to it? Nobody's paying attention to it. It's almost like we're appealing to, a fairy tale storybook when we're little kids. Mommy, Daddy, but the fairy tale book said, we don't care. It's not real. Unbelievable stuff. And you want to see how ridiculous Congress, which is the opposite of progress. And the reason I talk about this on this channel is because this is where all the policies and rules and laws and ordinances come from that cops take so seriously and use as a billy club to beat you on the head with. Look at these guys. This is all hell breaks loose when Marjorie Taylor Greene directly insults Jasmine Crockett. And then who else gets involved? AOC. So now you get the left versus right paradigm line. That's why I got this shirt on right now. Because look, donkey, elephant. Different animal, same Shiite. Doesn't matter. Are you for AOC or against the AOC? I don't give a damn. Are you for Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert? I don't give a damn. You got sucked into the left versus right paradigm lies, which you did. Listen to these guys. Look what they spend our tax dollars doing. Watch this utter theatrical nonsense.
Time's expired. Does any other member seek recognition?
Mr.
Chair
Chairman,
recognizes Ms. Green.
I'd like to know if any of the Democrats on this committee are employing Judge Merchan's daughter.
Please tell me what that has to do with Merrick Garland.
Is she a porn star?
Oh, Goldman. That's right. He's advising. Okay.
He's advising who? Do you know what we're here for? You know we're here about
I don't think you know what you're here for.
Well, you the one talking about.
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
No, ain't nothing.
Hold on.
So she goes to an ad hominem attack, and they lose their ever loving minds over this. But guess what? These people aren't losing their minds over. They don't mind that they're going to scrape a whole bunch of American money and send it over to Ukraine or send it over to Israel. Hell. But they're going to get all hot and bothered about this chick right here making fun of the other chick's false eyelashes. That's what they get worked up about. They don't lose one moment of sleep when they're ripping the rest of us off, or $68.4 million a day going to NASA, or however many billions go to the Department of Homeland Security, or the FBI, or the CIA, or the other intelligence alphabet agencies that are spying on us. They don't lose sleep over that. This is what they lose sleep over. This is what they get excited about. This is the dog and pony show for you. Well, stop talking bad about Marjorie Taylor Greene. Why? She's a charlatan like the Democratic counterparts that are about to jump on her tail for this.
Order.
Mr. Chairman,
That's beneath
would
even
you
order.
please regain order of your committee?
Order.
Please.
There's a point of order.
We have a point of order. Mr. Lynch, state your point.
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to ask the parliamentarian if your conduct here in raising money in connection with this hearing.
I love MTG. I don't know if that's meant to be like sarcastic or whatever, but every single one of these are shoveling boatloads of money to different countries to the detriment of America while the dollar continues to collapse. Have you seen what's going on with gold and silver lately? They are going up and up and up, and that is in a controlled, manipulated environment. Gold and silver are paper traded and manipulated down farther than you can possibly imagine. We should be looking at least $600, $700, $800 an ounce silver, and probably $10,000 to $15,000 an ounce gold if it wasn't artificially suppressed, and maybe even more. But these people keep the suppression lids on. These people keep the blinders on America. I don't care if you're talking about Republican or Demoplican. I don't care if you're talking about MTG or AOC. Nobody's in your corner in Congress. Nobody. A lot of them have dual citizenship with ISRA ... HE double hockey sticks.
Is referable to the Ethics Committee within this hearing. Is a motion in order to refer your conduct and your abuse of
It's not a point of order.
Mr. I do have a point of order, and I would like to move to take down Ms. Green's words. That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you attack the...
See, stuff like this is irrelevant. Did your family get SWAT rated for exposing corruption? That's irrelevant. She is corrupt. We can point to the fact that she is corrupt. She's on the committees that votes American money away from Americans and toward Ukraine or Israel. She's the one so it's okay to have dual citizenship, and it's okay to champion the cause of people who absolutely hate America as long as you are SWAT rated. See, I think sometimes these things happen so that it can garner the sympathies of people who aren't really thinking this thing through. Just because somebody got SWAT rated doesn't mean they're not also corrupt. If AOC got SWAT rated, would that make her okay? If Jerry Nadler got SWAT rated, would that make him okay? If Nazi Pelosi, or Vodka Pelosi as I like to call her, if she got SWAT rated, would that make her policies, her anti-gun policies, okay? No, it's irrelevant whether she got SWAT rated or not, because that could all be theater too. Hey, we're going to SWAT rate MTG so that people could be more on board with her, so they can garner sympathies from Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Physical appearance of another person.
Are your
Move
feelings
her
hurt?
words down. Oh, girl, baby girl.
Oh, really?
Don't even play. with
Baby
me.
girl? I don't think
we are
so.
gonna move, and we're gonna take your words down.
I
Thank you very
second that motion.
So who will have to pay it? Okay. All right. We're suspending.
Oh, just wait. They're getting ramped up on this. They're getting ramped up. Talk about making a mountain out of a molehill, while how many millions, or at least hundreds of thousands of Americans are rotting away in federal and state prisons for absolutely no reason. And this is how they're going to spend American taxpayer dollars. They take this little recess right here, but I want you to listen to some of what they say here.
We're taking her words down. No way is that being allowed.
They're so serious about this.
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
By the way, we're going to play a little bit more of this, but we are going to do a real quick call-in show. Maybe we can take like 3 callers. So I will be putting up, matter of fact, I'll put the invitation link up right now. Hang tight, guys, because they're just ramping this up. There is more here. me speed this up. Oops. I mean, think about this while we're watching this. The average congressman, the lower rung congressman, is making $174,000 a year. And that doesn't count all the perks. Let's do the math on this. It's been a while since I've done the math. So $174,000 a year. Oops. $174,000 a year. That's for the base congressman. There's some who make more, but nobody makes less. There's 535 of them in Congress. Let's do 174,000 times 535. And this is a low number. That's almost $100 million a year. So 174,000 divided by 2080, and that's the hours that you work if you work a 40-hour work week. That's $85.29 an hour for the base congressman. And I doubt they work 2080. $85, almost $100 an hour for them to pull this kind of nonsense right here. And they do this kind of stuff all the time. And not only that, I would rather them just do this kind of thing, because that would, at least if they're wasting money doing this, they're not wasting money creating more laws that's going to take more freedoms. Because when you have more, it's commensurate. If you have more laws on this side of the ledger, you have less freedoms over here. More laws, less freedom. So I'd rather them, if they're going to exist and extract our money to the tune of $174,000 a year, each congressman, then I would rather them do this than make laws that make the rest of us less free. Just wait. There's more here. Let me fast forward this. Marjorie Taylor Greene's got her mom pants over there.
Miss Green.
Okay, here we go.
The committee will reconvene. Miss Green has 4 minutes and 21 seconds. There's a motion. Miss Green, do you wish to strike your words?
I have 4 minutes and 21 seconds to speak.
I think we have to do the motion first, and then unless there's another motion, then you'll be recognized again. But I believe there's another motion coming. So do you agree to strike your words?
Yeah.
Okay. Miss Green agrees to strike her words.
I believe she
Chair
needs to
recognizes-
apologize. No. She needs to
Okay,
apologize.
hold on. Then after Mr.
What good does that even do? She said it. It's on the record of video. We see that she said that. Everybody's going to say what she said. What good is striking the words from the record? She already said it. Who cares? How does that make you feel better?
Perry's going to be recognized. Then Miss Green
I'm not
has 4 minutes and
apologizing.
21
Well,
seconds.
then you're not striking your words.
I am
Mr.
not
Chair,
apologizing.
Now let's go. Come on, guys.
Why don't you debate me?
Mr. Chairman, the
it's
minority.
pretty
No,
self-evident.
You're not.
Yeah, you're
out
not.
of order.
You don't have enough
You're out of order.
intelligence.
Chair recognizes Mr. Perry.
Okay, move to strike
I'd like to
I
strike
move to
those
strike the
words
lady's
as well.
words.
I would like to strike
The lady's
as well.
words again.
Look how out of sorts they're getting. But they're not out of sorts that TSA rules every single airport all across America. They're not out of sorts about that, because you don't have a Fourth Amendment right when you go through a checkpoint at TSA through an airport. That's not what they're disturbed about. They're disturbed because some chick said words about another chick's eyelashes, and now another chick wants those words stricken from the record. That's what they get upset about. That's what they lose sleep about. That's what the CNNs of the world and the Fox News of the world like to report on. This is the state of our world. The mainstream media is the domestic terror arm of the military-industrial complex, and they're facilitating this garbage. And Americans, the reason I'm playing this is because people get intertwined in this as though it even matters, when the things that really matter, like we have fiat currency we got to get rid of so we can go over to sound money and cut down the military-industrial complex that's actually plotting against us through intelligence agencies. When we talk about things like that, that's not news-making, but this is. That's the upside-down world we live in.
That's 2 requests to strike. That's 2 requests to strike.
Oh, they cannot take the
There's
words.
another motion to strike her words again. Please
All right.
get
Okay.
your members under
Here's the
control.
correct priority. Miss Green, do you agree to unanimous consent to strike your words?
I repeat again for the second time, yes, I'll
All
strike
right.
my words,
That-
but I'm not
all right.
apologizing.
Without objection, without
Not
objection.
apologizing.
Chair
Reserving the right to
recognize-
object.
no,
Chairman, I
Chair
reserve the right to
recognizes Mr.
I
Perry.
reserve the right to object.
Chairman, I move that Mr. Goldman's words and Ms. Ocasio-Cortez's words be stricken.
Well, I moved to do something. I moved that every one of these people are marched out into a public street and fresh vats of tar be purchased and poured upon said congressmen and senators. And maybe a couple feathers should fly. And every single one of them should have their $174,000 and all the property they bought with our money liquidated, sold back to the American or given back to the American people. And these people be put in Leavenworth. Make good use of that place for a change.
Which words, and you have to do it contemporaneously, object. The objection must be contemporaneous, and they haven't spoken in 10 minutes.
Nobody's spoken in 10 minutes.
Well, that's right, therefore defeating your proposal.
You all have. So that's my motion, Mr. Chairman.
We weren't able to. But I object. It doesn't refer to anything that's on the floor. Ms. Ocasio-Cortez objected immediately and instantaneously, as you're supposed to do under the rules and precedents of the House of Representatives.
So the first time he could
Mr.
move to
Chairman,
strike-
point of
Let's
parliament-
suspend,
Chairman,
let's
point of
parliamentary inquiry.
We're going to suspend for a minute, but we'll talk to the parliamentary.
By the way, let me say one more thing. I was going to play this other clip, but it's all pretty much the same nonsense. Let me say something. I'm looking at Marjorie Taylor Greene right here. This is Lauren Boebert. Now, they claim to be pro-gun. They're not, because to some extent, on some level, to some degree, they are for red flag laws, and they are for people who already served their time as, quote, felons in the eyes of the government, that they don't have their Second Amendment rights restored. So either you're pro shall not be infringed or you're not. If you're not pro shall not be infringed on any level, to any degree, you are anti-Second Amendment and therefore an enemy of the people. Brian Weinstein, welcome to the channel, man. Thanks for being here.
Hey, Brian, thank you very much. Watched you for a long time and respect and love everything you do, and appreciate you so very much.
Hey, appreciate it, man. What's on your mind today?
Oh, man, it's crazy stuff, man. I don't know. It's been a weird week, but yeah, watching these clowns in Congress is highly disturbing. I saw that a few days ago, and it's good for a laugh, but it's so disgusting.
Yeah, and you know what disgusts me more than anything is that they have the power or the potential power to actually do something that's good for Americans. And I'm gonna pick on one demographic, just the homeless vets, or just vet care. You know, the veterans have, at least they thought they were there to protect and serve. They found out they got duped by the military industrial complex and the Army, Navy, Air Force recruiter or whatever. But if they were going to do one good thing, hey, why don't we provide them the care that they need? And why doesn't a congressman or senator step forward and go, you know what, $174,000 is too much. You know, cut my salary to $50,000. I'll live within my means and give the rest to the homeless vets. What do you think about that?
I think that's a great start, but I think that unfortunately we're dealing with a criminal element that doesn't even have those abilities to even have those selfless thoughts to begin with. We're not dealing with a population of people who care about anything, about anybody, the highest greed, highest ego, highest narcissism. It's the worst element of human beings. It's I don't know if it's even able to be saved at all. You know, it's the worst ever. The worst ever. But,
yeah, like we say about cops, if the problem is with the world is evil people, then why would we give evil people like this, especially the 535 that inhabit the Washington's district of criminals, why would we give them this perception of authority?
And that's all it is perception. Authority is just perception. If we didn't vote, if we didn't pay taxes, if we didn't give them any energy, any support, any care, any thought of mind, if we just didn't even look at their direction or respect their authority, they would be nothing. They would be sad and kicking rocks and crying. It'd be nothing. So yeah.
And we don't want AOC or MTG or Lauren Boebert. We don't want them sad.
No.
Brian, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, Brian, I have a video on my B-Dub channel. I was wronged by the cops a couple of years ago on a pullover. I was told I was doing 65 and 45 when I was doing 53.
Give me the channel name.
Yeah, it's just B-Dub, B-Dub at YouTube. And it's like a 15-minute video, but so I'm kind of nervous. Would love your critique.
Is it this one here with 31 subscribers? B-Dub TV?
No, just regular B-dub. I apologize. It should have like just maybe like a green logo there, but
Is it this one here? Can you see your screen?
I can, but that's not me either. I'm sorry. I'm kind of small time. I'm just B-dub.
Oh man, see, I hate that. I hate that it doesn't come up.
I know. I apologize. I only have 3 videos. 2 are just like rock videos, and one's a cop video.
Well,
But I
I'll
watch
tell you.
everything you do.
Well, I'll tell you what. You're in the private chat group right now. Why don't you leave me a link on the private chat with to your YouTube channel, and I'll pull it up.
Yeah, I'm on my cell phone, so give me a second to figure that out. But yes, also 2 days ago, my neighbor, she was a first grade school teacher here in South Florida where I live. We found her dead in her bed. She'd had a history of at least 1 stroke. I asked her mother if she'd had any VAXX. Of course, she had 3.
Oh man,
she's in her mid-60s, and we found her passed away in her bed. So
yeah, you know what's interesting about that? There was a CNN commentator correspondent. I don't know if you saw that, but
yeah,
she was only 58. She was in excellent shape, running marathons, and all of a sudden, suddenly.
I wonder what could have happened.
I don't know. It blows my mind, man. Blows my mind.
Much love to you, Brian. I respect you. I appreciate everything you do. You have changed the world, and thank you for everything.
Hey, I appreciate it. I'm going to remove you from the screen, but you should still be able to send me that link because I'll try to pull it up.
I'll try to find it and get that to you as quickly as I can. I'm a bit tech unsavvy, but I'll try that. But thank you so much for everything. I would love your critique. I was still in the learning process when I got pulled over about 1.5 years ago, but I gave the cops a good tongue lashing, and it's good for a laugher, and it's good to educate people. But I'll get that to you as soon as I can. I sincerely appreciate you very much.
And if something happens where you can't put that in the chat, contact@highimpactflix.com. If you email me right now, I'll go to my email and I'll get it.
I'll email to you right away, and I'll try the chat as well. And again, Brian, I love you. Thank you for everything you do, and you stay safe out there. And huge love and huge respect on the bottom of my heart.
Love you back, man. Thanks, Brian. Bad Apple, you're up, man. How you doing?
Hey, what's happening, Brian?
How you doing?
I ain't gonna complain at all.
What state of the union are you in?
I'm in the Detroit area, Michigan.
Oh, okay. What's on your mind, man?
No, I'm sitting here thinking about all the corporate mess we're all in, and that's pretty much why we're all subjected to their codes and their statutes and their ordinances. You know, you had Paul on the other day. I don't know when he was on. I seen a video. You had a Paul, but you should have him on a little bit more so he could talk some sense into people.
Yeah, and every chance I get, I'll tell people that. And while you and I are on the screen here, this is their own U.S. code. This is what Bad Apple Media is talking about. 28 USC 3002. If you head on down to 15A, it's the United. This is their words. This isn't conspiratorial thinking. Well, it is it is conspiracy. But this doesn't come from a conspiracy theorist. This comes from the government themselves. 28 USC 3002 15A says the United States means federal corporation. That means every employee who works for the federal government is working for a corporation, not for the people. Is that kind of what you were thinking?
Well, that's part of it. That's the obvious, but the part that people like to refute, even though the evidence is clear. You can watch a million videos and all of the question is why they keep getting away with this. Well, it's because everybody's allowing it. They're allowing themselves to be subject to this system. The system is that you're a 14th, everybody who's a United States citizen is a 14th Amendment, essentially owned property. You want to get into the Black's Law Dictionary and all that, you can do that. But you're your own property, you're an employee, you're a franchise. You're basically working for the corporation, just like the person who is actually working for the government, getting a paycheck from them. You're an employee too. That's what you're paying. You're paying your franchise fees in. It's pretty simple, Talking about the U.S. for the 242 and 243, the deprivation of rights. Well, as U.S. citizens, you don't have rights. It's right there in the 14th Amendment. You have privileges and protections. Those were replaced because you're in a corporate democracy, and that's associated with your Social Security, your birth certificate, and all that. And people can refute that. They can say, "Oh, that's sovereign citizen nonsense." No, it's fact. People just don't want to accept it.
Let's take a look at just the first section of the 14th Amendment and talk about what Bad Apple's talking about. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject. So the 14th Amendment is actually saying right off the bat that you and I are subjects. Well, who are we subject to? It says to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. So when you call yourself a citizen of the United States, you're actually saying what the Fourth Amendment is saying, that you are a subject to the jurisdiction of psychopaths who want to rule you. And this is done with us saying, hey, follow the Constitution. I don't think anybody who is in the know would just sign a blank check and say, hey, we are constitutionalists. Oh, does that mean you're a Fourth Amendmentalist also? Because the Fourth Amendment says you're a subject to the jurisdiction of psychopaths.
Well, I've been trying to get this point across to several people out there, and you're one of them. Mr. Flax is another one. But you guys are sharing the Supreme Court stuff. It's all connected to when you, I'll get to my point in a second. When you guys say, yeah, I'm a U.S. citizen, you put it on applications, you cross a border, you pledge allegiance to that flag. You're a citizen, so you are a 14th Amendment citizen, and you are subject to the codes, the statutes, the ordinances, and all of the victimless, nonviolent crimes that you can go to jail for. That's because you are allowing it. And the only way to get away from that is to change your status from a United States citizen to a state national. This is something I've been saying for a long time. So as a state national, you're not subject to the code, statutes, and ordinances that the federal government gave the municipalities the right to come up with. And everybody's just saying, just do it. This is where we're at. It's not something that you can talk about in 10 minutes.
Well, let me ask you from a personal perspective, have you done that? Have you changed your status?
Well, right now, no, I have not. To give you a quick answer, because I will draw. I'll talk on a little bit, but I'm currently in two civil suits that I filed with against Oakland County Sheriff, and one's in federal court and one's in state court right now. So until that's over with, I'm going to remain a U.S. citizen. But once that's over with, I'm changing my status, and I got a process that's I've already got my plan together. And once it happens, you guys will know all about it.
So why are you choosing to wait and go that route instead of just pulling the trigger right now?
Well, because the work that I do, I have to have a contract, as they say. I have a commercial driver's license. So as a U.S. citizen, I know you can get around it. I'm not trying to do that with these two lawsuits that I'm dealing with. When they're finally over and I can do what I got to do, I won't have to worry about my CDL, because I'm going to relinquish my driver's license. I'm going to terminate that contract, because that's going to be part of the state national process. So
yeah, did you see my live stream with Brandon Williams on this topic?
Yeah, I'm very familiar with Brandon Joe Williams, and he knows who I am too. So, but that's cool. Yeah, he's got a lot of good information, and
is there something you disagree with him on?
Not nothing that I want to bring up here. It's something that's just between, it's not just an issue that I have with Brandon. It's an issue with a lot of people that are in the, I don't even know what to call it, but the knowledge, who share the information of becoming state nationals and how to achieve that and things of that nature. But that's a whole different topic for another day. He's got pretty good information, and I'm not going to tell anybody to not listen to him. And you should go and watch his series of videos that he has on Vimeo. He's got a good series. You can watch one a day. It takes like a month or something. But
right,
yeah, it gives you a lot of good information on there. Brandon is a very knowledgeable man. I watch a couple other people on here too that people would, if you don't mind me telling you who to go look at. You might have even shared one of them. I think you have before. A video.
Go ahead.
Tahlequah X.
Yeah.
He is an actual state national. I've looked into the man. He has told a story about how he became a state national in an incident that occurred while he was a state national, while he was in possession of a firearm.
Well,
And I
what do you
looked up his cases.
What do you think
Pardon?
about the video? Speaking of Taquan X, and I want to have him on to ask him this question personally, but what do you think about the video where he said that he was on the do not detain list, and not too long after that, he got detained, arrested, and fingerprinted and thrown into a cage? But then he took that. I don't know why he took the video down. It's set to private, or it's down altogether. What's your reaction on that?
No, I've seen the video when when he first posted it, and I've seen the squad car laptop computer screen with the information on it that literally says do not detain unless he commits, not exact the words, but it pretty much says do not detain the man.
Mhm.
So when you get city officers, you get county officer, law enforcement officers, it doesn't matter who they're corporate. They're going to do whatever it is because they have qualified immunity. They don't care if they arrest you. They don't care if they don't have the jurisdiction over your body, because that's what they don't have over Taquan X. He doesn't give it. When they ask him his address, they're trying to get jurisdiction. When they ask him for a driver's license, they're trying to get jurisdiction. When they ask him where he's from, they're trying to get jurisdiction. They're trying to play that game. And Taquan X is very smooth, and he knows what he's doing. And I would recommend anybody who wants to learn information about becoming a state national, go watch him, and he'll teach you about the financial aspect of it.
Bad Apple, I appreciate your time, man.
Hey, take it easy, Brian. I'd love to talk to you a little bit more. You and me have a lot of people in common, and I'm going to admit it here, I've been busting your chops, and I don't know if you've seen it, but we know a couple of the same people. I know Mark Fugel really well. So,
Okay.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to you off air. That'd be cool too. But if not,
Well,
that's
as long as you're not engaging in ad hominem, I don't care if people bust my chops. If it's true, it's true.
Well, I don't know if it's true or not, but I bust everybody's chops, so don't take it personal.
I usually don't take it personal, but I do like to understand what the disagreement is, and I do like the psychological aspect of it about what makes up a man, what is true character, what is justice, what is morality. So I try to make it a practice not to, if I disagree with somebody, I just keep it on the disagreement level. I don't take it to a personal level like a lot of people
Well, no, you can't take it to a personal level. But I can tell you right now what my beef is with not just you specifically, but part of what's going on. I got a beef with telling people you don't have to drive, or you can drive without a license, but not elaborating further.
I don't think I've said that. Have I said that?
Yeah, you said it. I got videos of you saying it. But
you got videos of me. You got videos of me saying people should drive without a license.
Oh, you have the right to drive without a license. You've said it many a times, and you're not wrong. You have the right, but you only have rights while you're a state national. You don't have rights when you are a U.S. citizen, and you are subject to the state that you live in or you reside to have a license and to maintain it. If you don't, they can get you for it. It's just fact, because you're part of the corporate system. My beef is telling people that because then they watch these videos and they say, oh, well, I heard on the internet the Supreme Court said you don't have to have a license. And I've seen many videos where guys are like, I don't need a license. And bad things happen to them, cutting the grass out here, So, but, that's my beef. And the only problem is, I can't get anybody on the other side of the screen to say, we'll elaborate a little bit further. Tell them that that's part of the corporate system, and getting rid of the corporate system is becoming a state national. So that's my beef.
Okay. I welcome those kind of conversations because I'm a learner.
Well, I think it would be a good debate, but I've never been allowed to debate the greatest debaters on the internet because I tend to talk about things that people don't want to talk about. So
yeah, I definitely
said that, Brian. I appreciate your time.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Be good.
I definitely wouldn't qualify or classify myself as a great debater. What's up, Justin in Houston, Texas? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, Brian? How you doing, man?
Good. What's on your mind today?
The video you're talking about, definitely bred in circuses for sure. Feed them bread and circus.
The Congress video we just watched.
Most definitely.
I know.
And to comment off what the other guy was talking about, the VAXX, a coworker of mine's brother just passed away. He was on dialysis, okay?
Oh.
And he took 3 of them and ended up having blood clots. So you're talking a man that was on dialysis, had to sit there for hours at a time, getting his blood just basically recycled, but because of the injection caused clotting. You know, it's amazing at how many people are still kind of asleep to that whole situation, you know?
Yeah. I mean, still, I mean, and I kind of understand it because I mean, just from the human perspective, to make life go a little bit easier for you, you kind of engage in a, maybe selective cognitive dissonance where, oh man, it's already in me. What can I do about it? So I'm going to pretend that it's not going to be bad for me,
Yeah.
So I understand people coming at it from that perspective. It's like, if you're talking to somebody who's already undergone the process, it's kind of too late unless there's something you can do about it that I'm not aware of.
I agree. I actually had something I want to talk to you about. I mean, I have, unless I've missed something, but on the Tuck, what is your stance on the Tucker situation with him coming out, apologizing, for his view in regards to the war and the propaganda that he pushed over on Fox and all that, and now that he's gone independent, do you find him, truly like doing a good deed, and or do you kind of have him suspect a little bit? Do you because I know you were hard on him a little bit in the past, and not trusting kind of him because he works for one of the the 3-letter networks, and he was, I believe his family was CIA or something like that at one time. But what's your stance on that? Do you feel like it's actually a good message that it's
I don't really I haven't listened to him in months and months. I like a lot of what Tucker Carlson says. I know that he was confronted by somebody that I personally know, by Adam Kokesh, in regard to the incident that happened in September of 2001, if you get my drift.
Yeah.
And Tucker actually said, and he may have retracted, so I'm not holding him to this, and he was also in fake stream media at the time, but he basically says anybody who believes against the official story on what happened in September 2001 should be incarcerated. I don't know if you remember that. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that. No, I'm actually going to look that up, but because he's actually changed course on that, and he was talking about building 7. You get my drift on that.
Yeah.
And pretty much questioning that, and I believe he said it when he was on the Rogan interview, but I don't know. I find
real quick, because I'm trying to look it up while you're talking. What was that podcast that he was on right after he left Fox, and he said basically, I was a part of the problem? Do you remember what the name of the podcast was?
No, I don't, man. I don't. I was a part of the problem.
Yeah. He actually admits that I was for the last 20 years. I've also been. I realized.
I believe he was sitting with some kids, right?
Yeah.
I know which one you're talking about, but I don't know which the name of the podcast is. But yeah, I remember him saying that as well.
I wanted to pull that up because I agree. I kind of, at this point, I take, man, I really wanted to find that. I take a position where, oh wait, this is it. Tucker Carlson. I can't find it. I take the position of this. I just judge them by what they're saying right now.
Right.
And when you got a person who's insanely popular like Tucker Carlson or Joe Rogan, I don't automatically write them off, because I do listen to Joe Rogan more right now than I do Tucker Carlson. But there was a point where I was listening to a lot of and agreeing with what Tucker Carlson says. It's kind of hard for me to believe that somebody who had a brush with the CIA is really on our side. So I always take a we'll see attitude behind that, but I don't want to just wholesale flush what everybody says down the toilet, because let's face it, even Jake Tapper from CNN from time to time says the right thing. So I don't flush everything down the toilet, even though he's part of a fake stream media that's trying to decimate the rest of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you on that. I feel on that, man. Man, it's great talking to you again, man. Glad that you're doing good and you avoided some of those tornadoes you had over there in Oklahoma. So,
Oh man, I appreciate that. Thanks for weighing in.
no problem, man. You have a good one.
Hey, you too. Bye. Hey, what's up, Roots to Sovereignty? How you doing?
Hey, Brian.
Hey, you might, oh wow, I'm getting a lot of feedback from your speaker. Holy cow, that's loud.
Oh, it's the coqui. It's
Oh,
the
that's
frog
the
from Puerto Rico.
the critters, the night critters.
Oh wow, that is super loud.
Yeah, we live out here in the woods.
Yeah, I gotta turn my volume down. Can you guys hear me okay?
Sorry.
Wow,
Sorry.
we're completely off grid. We're in the middle of the woods, and that's what it is.
Well, how you guys doing? You got the floor. What you got for us?
Well, we wanted to kind of hit up on what Bad Apple was saying, the right to travel, and everybody has their own interpretation of that whole subject. But even under their corporate rules, if you look it up, they have their own definitions for. I know you know this already. Motor vehicle, what a motor vehicle is, what transportation is, what a transport is, what a driver is, what a conductor is. So even under their rules, all you have to do is just like we're doing. We've been traveling with our private plates. I don't have a driver's license. We both have passports. We had our property removed from the Department of Transportation's registry, and we have documents to prove that. We haven't been stopped. We've had cops follow us, about a dozen cops already since we've been doing this, follow us for a few minutes, and then they just swerve around and just take off, and they haven't stopped us yet. So
We did fix our political status.
yes, we are state nationals. We did it through the DS11, which I know that Brandon Williams talks about this in his course, but we went ahead and did it.
Copper Moonshine Stills.
Yeah, if anybody listening wants to go to Copper Moonshine Stills, the man there has his website. You can click on the upper right hand corner. The menu will pop down, and you'll see where it says status or something like that, status correction. And then in there is the book. It's about a 40-page book, easy read. He has examples of how to properly fill out that DS11, you know, and he explains why you fill it out that way. We talked to him personally, you know, just to answer questions before we even engaged in this, because that's what we do. We don't want to just do a process without knowing exactly what we're getting into and understanding what it is why we're doing it and how to do it. So about that hearing, I mean, whatever that show circus was that you were showing earlier, I couldn't read what it was about. They're all clowns. I mean, they're all part of the corporate mafia. Like you said before, Title 28, Section 3002, Paragraph 15, it says it clearly. It's a federal corporation. The U.S. is a federal corporation. Anybody that's a U.S. citizen, as Bad Apple was saying, you're a slave.
Right.
You're a slave. You don't have any rights. The fact that when you read it there, persons, subjects, and individual, they're giving you 3 chances to rebut those 3 things, because a person is someone who wears a mask. If you go into this is all language. It's a spell that they've casted on us, right? And we think we're saying one thing when they're actually meaning another, and that's how they trick us.
Right.
But if you go to any of their laws, I don't care which one it is, you can look at Title 28, Title 18, whatever it is, you will not find in any of those statutes that those laws apply to man or woman. I want someone to either, text you or email you, whatever, if they find where it says that those statutes and their laws apply to man or woman.
Right.
It doesn't. That's how they trick us. That's why we have to correct our status, and we have to refer to ourselves as men and women. Not a free man, not a free man on the land, not a natural person,
Not a living man.
not a living man, nothing. Man and woman is the highest status when it comes to law.
Right.
That's it. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
I think everybody knows that. I mean, it's self-evident that they're, corporations aren't human beings and all that kind of stuff. But, for me, it all boils down to the golden rule. I don't care if you're a politician, judge, cop, it doesn't matter. Nobody wants to be harmed. They don't want to be threatened. They don't want to feel like their life is in jeopardy. They don't want their property stolen. And yet that's what they live their lives doing the rest of us under the color of whatever they think law is. So yeah, I agree, but I think that almost goes without saying, although you got to say it because everything's so clouded by legalese.
Yeah, well, as long as you abide by the non-aggression principle, which is what we do, we do no harm, but we are going to stand strong in defending our rights and not letting anybody trample our rights. I mean, we're about the only ones that are doing this over here in Puerto Rico with the private plates. Everybody's scared to do it. They don't want to do it. The majority of them, what they do is, hey, how's it going for you? Have you been stopped? Okay, well, I'll just wait to see how it goes for you, and then I'll jump in if nothing bad happens to you.
Right.
They don't understand what it takes to gain back your freedom and to defend your rights. This isn't a joke. This isn't a game. It's something that you're supposed to take seriously and not stand down. I mean, we're not backing down.
And not only that, we're not just exercising our freedoms and standing up against the corporate mafia. We are completely self-sustainable.
Yes.
We are completely off-grid. We eat out of whatever it is that we grow. We would like to share that with you one day during the day. We can show you around, what we got going on over here. We sent you a couple emails, by the way. I know they get buried. I know you get a whole bunch of emails, but the last thing we wanted to talk to you about was the Carl Miller.
Anyone that's interested in really knowing how to defend your rights against this corporate mafia needs to look at Carl Miller. He's passed away, but he left a legacy. The man spent 30 years of his life just teaching and defending the underdog the whole time. So Carl Miller and his series, Know Your Constitution. It's about a 4-hour, but he breaks it up in parts. I think it's a 3-part series, but a load of information. It's to me at least, it's fascinating, the amount of knowledge that this man shared with Americans.
Oh, and the law for mankind.
And then the last thing, Brian, before letting you go, if anybody wants to check out, I took this course personally. It's called The Law for Mankind, The Sovereign's Way. I'll say it again, The Law for Mankind, The Sovereign's Way. They're on YouTube. It's Craig and John Little. Amazing stuff. All this stuff about state national, about birth certificates. He puts all that aside. He went through all that, and he teaches a course where it's just very simple on how to establish your own courts instead of going into these people's courts like Chile did with an attorney. No, you learn to establish your own court, and you learn to request or to require a magistrate who is just going to oversee the trial by jury, and he's there just to make sure that all the evidence is presented and that there's nothing foul going on. It's amazing stuff. Again, The Law for Mankind, The Sovereign's Way.
Man, I appreciate you guys coming back on again. Sorry, yeah, I'm the worst at emails, guys. It's almost like it's overwhelming for me, and I have ADD and a mental block and checking my emails. So.
Well, you're doing a lot, man. You're doing a lot, and we respect you. We really respect you.
I have your Roots to Sovereignty channel up on the side panel here. I'm subscribed. I'll try to watch some videos in the next couple days.
Thank you.
We're gonna be adding more stuff on there, so we want to teach more about this stuff.
Yeah, we're going to be teaching stuff.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care. Yeah, I get it. Base Chad says sit nonsense. First of all, sovereign citizen is a misnomer. There's no such thing as a sovereign citizen. Either you're a sovereign or a citizen. Citizens are subjects to the laws of a geographical area. A sovereign doesn't take SHIT from nobody. So you're either a sovereign or a citizen. So that's nonsense in and of itself. And he says they think they found some magical escape plan when all they really did was make it a headache to deal with, which is the only reason the pigs don't harass them like the rest of us. I don't know if that's the only reason, because I've seen them get harassed with just as much, if not more, than regular people. So, and I wouldn't discard it out of hand, because, you know, the true nonsense is the legalese that we all feel like we're subjected to. And when you've got admissions like this from the federal government that the United States is a federal corporation, and you've got things like 18 USC 241 and 18 USC 242, and you have the breaking of these laws and policies, their own breaking of the laws and policies, you see that they're more than willing to act with qualified or judicial or political immunity, but that same regard isn't offered to us. We are not able to seek immunity from the prosecution by the state. It usually becomes Brian Young versus the state of Oklahoma, and it's like, wait a second, what is the state of Oklahoma if it's not an individual, if it's not a man or a woman? How can the state of Oklahoma be victimized by little Brian Young? You know, it's like it doesn't make any sense. So if there was any nonsense to be acknowledged, it's the nonsense of this current world that we're all forced through a $15,000 indoctrination program called the public fool system, through incessant fake stream CIA infiltrated Operation Mockingbird, MK Ultra media propaganda, constant government nonsense, the parroting by the propaganda by your friends and relatives and neighbors, and it's just incessant. It never stops. So the true nonsense is all the people that parrot this paradigm that we all kind of are immersed in and live under. So I would say that that's nonsense. But to say that somebody trying to resist and trying to reclaim their manhood or their womanhood and not be messed with, I wouldn't discard that. I wouldn't discard that. You know, if you want to have a conversation, I would welcome this kind of conversation. The only axe I have to grind is the axe of truth. I just want to find out what the truth is, and I want to walk in that truth. And I'm well aware that when society is delusional and they're going after and believing the propaganda and all the stuff that was handed down to us through the government, the military industrial complex, and the indoctrination programs. I know it's dangerous to be right when the government is wrong. I know that truth is treason in the empire of lies. I know that truth is considered hate speech, and it's the first casualty in any war. They've got to get truth out of the way to bring the masses on board with something as nonsensical as war. If there was anything that was nonsense, it's, oh yeah, we're going to scrape billions, trillions of dollars from the American tax cattle, put it in the coffers of a dangerous organization like the Pentagon, who controls the military industrial complex, and shovel boatloads of money to other countries where it doesn't even benefit America at all. Not to mention funding hundreds of thousands of programs and policies and laws that make the rest of us less free. So they basically take the product of our time and laboring energy. That's our, the dollars that we have in our pockets. Do I even have any dollars in here? Yeah. They take the dollars that we have in our pockets, these things right here, these Federal Reserve notes. And this is if you own these, you own debt. This is a note of debt. This is fiat currency. It's not sound money. It's unsound, dishonest money. So we work for these, but what they're actually doing is they're scraping our time and labor, our real productivity, and the result of our real productivity, and then they're distributing that to other countries and to entities that come against us. So that's the true nonsense. True News says, you are a sovereign of the republic. The republic is private. That is the proper term. Everything in public domain is a commercial item. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 9, legislative tribunals. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you want to put it in just basic language, they rape us. They economically terrorize us. They threaten us. They try to scare us. They lie to us. They engage in deceptive practices. I mean, look at the final conclusion of the Mullen Commission. Check this out. This says it all. The final conclusion of the Mullen Commission. I'm going to put it up on the screen right here. Let me open another tab. This pretty much says it all. And you can project this out beyond the investigation of the New York City Police Department, the NYPD. Oh, what did I just do? Let me see if I can look at this. This is the final. This is the summation. This is the conclusion of the Mullen Commission as they investigated to see whether there was widespread systemic corruption going on in the New York City Police Department. It says today's corruption is not the corruption of the Knapp Commission days, because that happened in the 1970s, where the Knapp Commission found that from top to bottom, the New York City Police Department was engaged in widespread systemic corruption. Corruption then was largely a corruption of accommodation of criminals and police officers giving and taking bribes, buying and selling protection. Corruption was, in essence, consensual. Today's corruption is characterized by brutality, theft, abuse of authority, and active police criminality. Where do we see that? Not just in police departments. We see that in the halls of justices. We see that with judges. We see that with politicians. Today's corruption is characterized by brutality, theft, abuse of authority, and active police criminality, active judicial criminality, active political criminality. And we're going to appeal to the people in that injustice system to change the laws to make it better for us. What fantasy world? That's nonsense. What fantasy world are we living in? Is Brian Young and made it to court? Then Brian Young probably should be in court, because you should never. I don't understand. There must be more to that. Taxation without representation. It's like armed robbery. It's extortion without representation, but it's like saying armed robbery without representation, as though it would be okay. The robbery would be okay if we were being represented. I don't think so. When the rubber hits the road in court, they'll just judge against you and lock you in a cage. I've been obsessed with Sav-Sit legal philosophies for many years, but it's not useful in reality today. Well, what if we all made it useful? What if it became useful? What if we tipped the scales? What if more people started waking up and going, you know what? All this nonsense that we just, I mean, it's true. I hate to keep using the word nonsense, but it's truly nonsense. All this catfighting in the halls of Congress, when they should actually be benefiting the American people. If this isn't the epitome of nonsensical actions, then I don't know what is. But rather than condemn it, fake stream media condones it, supports it, broadcasts it, propagandizes it, and then minimize the things that they really should be fighting over. It's like, no, we need to get rid of Pennsylvania versus Mims. No, we need to get rid of Terry v. Ohio. And by the way, we need to get rid of the Supreme Court, because they are acting on, this supreme law of judicial review. They're basically saying the Constitution isn't the supreme law of the land. Our interpretation of the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. And that's been going on since what? Marbury versus Madison, 1803. So since 1803, according to the Supreme Court, the supreme law of the land hasn't been the Constitution. It's been the Supreme Court's interpretation of the Constitution. You peasants you're too base. You're too non-intellectual to understand the Constitution. But we, the Supreme Court, We will interpret it for you. In other words, we're the gatekeepers for the freedom that's supposed to be articulated in the Constitution. That's nonsense. That's truly nonsense. All right, guys. Hey, I appreciate you guys being here. Let me just go over real quick the super chats and the memberships. By the way, thank you. If you're a member of this channel, whether you're a member or not, but especially if you're a member of this channel and you're keeping this channel going, I really appreciate it. If you've taken a look at my view numbers, they have tanked, man. Like, people aren't watching my videos. You know, it could be because maybe my videos suck. Maybe a lot of people think, my videos suck. Or there's some shadow banning going on, like me and Paul and Slave talked about the other day, which we know that's a reality. I'm not sitting here crying over it, but you know, it says a lot about our country, and it says a lot about social media companies when channels that put out absolute garbage or just entertainment or things that, you know, while the rest of it's, you know, just bread and circuses. By the way, Voltaire's right. If you give the people bread and circuses, generally speaking, for the general population, they will never revolt because they love their bread and circuses. And so what if it comes with a couple shackles? Who cares if every year those shackles get just a little bit tighter? It's just a little bit tighter. Who cares if the cop comes to your window and says, I need the CID? It's just your ID. Just give him your ID and everything will be fine. Yeah, tell that to Philando Castile. He was trying to get out his CCW on the request of the cop, and he's no longer with us. And they did that on a Facebook Live on dash cam video. So to think that we can go to the injustice system and carve out a little bit of justice seems a little bit of insane, irrational to me. We got a call, gifts, here's the deal memberships. How many? 5 here's the deal memberships? Wow, thank you. We got a call. I appreciate that. History Bear with the super chat. Reverend Sean Murphy, thank you. BIP Solar Bear. And this is something I'll try to do on every live stream. I'll try to read these at the end. You guys have no idea. I appreciate the support. BIP Solar Bear. I don't understand that, BIP Solar Bear. I don't understand that. Birds aren't real. I know they're real. That's ridiculous. Dan Harmon, member for 8 months. This is one floor where the cuckoo's nest is running. BIP Solar Bear, what middle school did this happen at? I'll just read the super chats. Member for 2 months, Autodidactic, Transparency Project, True News, and True News again, and James Forbes, and True News again. Guys, I appreciate the support. Thank you. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to this channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know. Don't forget to subscribe to my email list through my website, highimpactflix.com. Remember, freedom is dangerous. The only thing more dangerous is not having freedom. We don't want to get to the point where we have absolutely no freedom. At least we have the illusion of freedom at this point, but we really need to do better than that. Guys, I appreciate it. I'll see you in the next live stream. Take care.